All right, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video about all things real estate here in Brantford and Brant County. In today's video, we're going to have a little discussion on kind of what's going on in the market, what's going on with mortgage, what's going on with interest rates. So we're going to touch on quite a few little things about kind of what's happening in the market, what we're seeing right now, and kind of maybe where we'll see things going in the future. So we'll get right into it. And I want to first touch on pricing. If you have owned a house, if you've been looking for a house, if you don't live under a rock, you'll know that we had a huge run up in pricing that topped out in 2022. Here in our market, the average price for a detached home for the year in 2022 hit right around $850,000. Last year, 2023, that average price came down. It was the first time since I can go back in our system where we had a year-over-year decrease in the price of a home. So not technically, but if you bought a home in 2022, there's a good chance it was worth less in 2023, as the market kind of declined. The market went down roughly 10%. House price, the average price of a house in our market for 2023, Brantford and Brant County, was $765,000. Now that we're into April, I had to look at the first quarter of 2024. The average price so far, or the average price for that first quarter, $740,000. So still lower than last year's pricing. Is it possible that we have a second decrease or a second year of decreases? It is. Is it possible that 2024 increases over 2023? That's also possible. Kind of the trends we're seeing, sales are still very much down. 2023, again, it was the first time we saw prices go down in a very long time. It was also the first time in our market that we sold less than 2,000 homes in at least the last 10 years. Looking at the first quarter of 2024, sales are still down. They're actually lower 2024 Q1 than 2023 Q1. So we're not even selling as many homes as we were in 2023. Again, we're very early. It's April. Things can change. But right now, basically, prices are still continuing to come down by the numbers. Interestingly as well, I've been looking at the median price quite a bit because there's something kind of interesting going on there. We always usually look at average. So the average is just we add up everything that's sold, we divide it by that number, that's the average price. The median price is the price of where half of the homes sold for less and half of the homes sold for more. I'll throw a chart up on the screen. Now it shows you the average sale price and the median price for January, February, March. You'll see that up on the screen. And essentially, what you're going to see is in January, the average price, the green green column, exceeds the median price. So it was more than the median price, the blue column. Then in February, the average price kind of fell to the median price. And then in March, the average price held steady, but the median price fell. So like I said, for Q1 2024, average price of a home, $740,000. That median price for Q1, $695,000. So essentially in the first quarter of this year, half of all homes sold for under $700,000. The other half sold for over $700,000. So that's kind of what we've been looking at for Q1 2024. Of course, we'll do lots of videos this year, try to keep you up to date with what's going on in the market. If you're looking at purchasing a home, if you're holding off on a purchase because you're thinking prices are still coming down, right now you've been right. So prices are slowly coming down since the height in 2022 by the numbers. The other thing that we like to look at is the amount of sales versus current inventory. So I'll throw this next chart up on the screen because since January, we have been building inventory month over month. Because we're selling a lot fewer homes than are listed, that inventory number keeps on building. So you'll see the green column in this chart is the amount of active listings. The blue column is the amount of sales. So you'll see they are going in step. And for April, we're only just over half or just under halfway through the month. So we don't have a ton of data yet for April. But you'll see every month we're building inventory. There's more homes on the market right now than there has been every other previous month this year. And also there's a higher amount of sales than every previous month this year, even though sales really aren't keeping pace with historical norms and sales are quite low versus the past. If you have any questions about that, please put it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. What are your predictions? Are prices going to go up, down, things like that? Of course, too, it's April. The Bank of Canada met. So we'll get into a little bit of mortgage news, and they've kept the headline rate at 5%, held the interest rate at 5%. The next meeting is June 5th. A lot of people are predicting a quarter-point drop in June. It depends on so many factors that I'm just not well enough researched on: unemployment rate, economic things. But it seems like the vast majority of people are thinking that in June we will see a rate drop. Seems like the 5-year bond market, though, in Canada has been going up. And remember, the headline rate with the Bank of Canada is for basically tied to variable products, where our fixed rate mortgage products are more tied to the 5-year bond market. So even the Bank of Canada could announce a rate drop in June, but the bond market could react and go up, and the fixed rate mortgage products could go up along with it. Doesn't have to. You never really knows what will happen. But it doesn't necessarily, if you see a big headline rate, Bank of Canada drops interest rates to 4.75, that doesn't mean that fixed rate products are going to come down a quarter point the next day as well. They could, but they don't have to. Your variable products will drop down in tandem with the Bank of Canada. But I think right now, as far as the variable products market share in new mortgages, is very small, as far as I know. Also, another big announcement, a recent announcement by OFSI, which is Canada's kind of banking regulator. So coming Q1 2025, so still a year away, they're going to limit the amount of mortgages the big banks can lend at 4.5 times income or higher. So if you make easy numbers, $100,000 a year, and you're trying to get a mortgage for $450,000 or more, the banking regulator is going to have some regulations in there saying the banks can only fill so many of those mortgages. I think it'll be a very interesting thing, because you may go to Scotiabank and they may say, hey, maybe we could have approved you, but we've already hit our allotment on 4.5 times plus mortgages this quarter or this month. And then you might have to go to TD, and TD could say, okay, we will do it because we haven't hit our allotment. Again, interesting. I don't know how much of an impact that'll have on the market next year. Of course, the only other thing we really have is the stress test. The stress test right now has been the same for a long time. Basically, if your mortgage rate is going to be 5%, you have to qualify at 7%, 2% higher. So this time next year, not only if this all gets passed, I believe it's passed, you can go online and look at the articles that are currently written on it. This time next year, not only will you have to qualify at 2% higher than your contract rate, or 5.25%, I think is the floor on that when rates were lower. But also, if you're looking at getting a loan that's over 4.5 times your annual income, the banks are only going to be able to basically fulfill a certain amount of those loans, and then they won't be able to after that point. I believe that'll be on a quarterly basis. They'll have to report that, but that's another topic. I'm hoping to do a lot of videos on YouTube this year on different real estate topics. So if anybody's watching this, I know I'm not getting a ton of views. This is a new channel, so if you are watching, I really appreciate it. The only other thing I was going to touch on, of course, is the big NAR settlement in the States, which is going to change kind of buyer representations. If you're interested in that, Google NAR settlement, and you'll kind of see what's happening on the buy side in the States. Now, that doesn't affect Canada right now. There are lawsuits in Canada. I have no idea when those will get heard or settled. But it's interesting to see what's happening stateside, what might be coming up north with us once our lawsuits get through the courts. Anyway, I hope some of that made sense. I hope someone out there is watching. Hi, Mom, if you're watching. I hope everyone has an amazing week, and I will be back with another video.